Williams, and I'm your moderator for this morning. I am a consultant with Minority Business Development Agency, Federal Procurement Center, and I am very excited to be the moderator this morning. We have three very special guests we're looking forward to for this panel. This is panel number one, and it's business opportunities. You'll get opportunity here for some of the three most top procurement professionals in the federal government, and they will give you an overview and give you some leads on some opportunities that may be in their organization. So I want you to sit back and learn. In the audience, I'm going to ask you if you have a question for the panelists. I want you to join the chat. What's going to happen from there is we have someone will take your questions and we'll address them throughout this actual segment of this first panel. But thank you so much again for joining us. I'm very excited because I get to introduce and work very closely with three special people that I know very dearly. Our first panelist for today is Ms. Darlene Bullock, and I'm very happy to have her here today. Ms. Bullock is the Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization Director for Department of Homeland Security. She is a senior executive service member and was appointed last year around 2020. We're very happy to have her. She has about 23 or 28 years of government experience. She's also served as the former deputy director for the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Prior to that, Ms. Bullock was a former contracting officer where she oversaw about $4.4 billion in procurement opportunities. In her current positions, she's actually overseeing about $21 billion worth of opportunities. So as you can see, that's a lot of dollars floating around in the Department of Homeland Security. And I'm very excited when she do come on to be able to introduce the organization and tell us a little bit about how to find opportunities. When you leave here today, with some of the expectations will be that you get opportunity to assist in building your pipeline. So hopefully you can follow the money. Hopefully you can identify where the opportunities are. And most importantly, you understand how to market yourself to Department of Homeland Security and other two agencies that we have. The next panelist that we have, also a former colleague of mine, I'm very happy to introduce. He comes from Department of Defense. His name is Mr. Shannon Jackson. And Mr. Shannon Jackson has about 23 years of federal acquisition experience. He's a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, Shannon. We appreciate you. But most importantly, he's run some very major program management type of activities to include military sales force, foreign military sales, please forgive me, that's a tie twister, and some of the other major contracting opportunities he has. He's also level 3 certified in program management. In addition to that, he's level 2 certified in contracting. But what's very unique about Mr. Jackson that I wanted to say is that he's in a very unique position that he also served as acting director for Department of Small Business and DoD. And now he's had some very special assignments. He's working very closely in transition of the new director at DoD. In addition to, he's working under the Secretary for Acquisition and Sustainment on some very high level projects. So he's the one that can tell us, you know, where the money is, what some of the activities are going on, how they're spending the money, where they're spending the money at. And I'm very, very happy to have Mr. Jackson here on the panel today and looking forward to hearing from him as well. And last but not least, another colleague of mine when I was on the inside, Mr. Thaddeus Martin, and I'm very happy to have him as well. Mr. Martin serves as the Director of Small Business for the Army Materiel Command. And as we know, the Army Materiel Command is one of the largest Army contracting commands within Department of Defense. So they spend a lot of money there. Mr. Thaddeus Martin he's directly under the 4-star Journal, please forgive me. In addition to that, prior to serving as the Director of Small Business, he was a former contracting officer. And one of the unique things that he did as a contracting officer is he was responsible for the procurement of the Blackhawks, which is a real big deal. So we're very happy to have him as well. He has about 14 years of government experience. So if you look collectively across this panel, we got about 65 years experience. And even though none of these folks on this panel look like they over 20 years old. So we're very happy to have them and looking forward to addressing some of the questions that the audience may have for them. So the first thing we're going to do to begin this panel is we want to get to know our panelists. So we're going to start with Ms. Darlene Bullock, and we're going to ask Ms. Bullock to give us a 5-minute, 10-minute overview of her organization, how is it structured, and most important, just remember the panel is about finding opportunities. So any information that you want to give the audience about your organization, you can begin now. Thank you so much.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, thank you, Alice. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it. But I would be a little remiss if I did not say that, I've known Alice for quite a long time, and I don't think I would be in this position if it wasn't for her. So she was part of my early grooming as a contract specialist intern, and which has, afforded me a lot of opportunities and now to be in the senior executive service at Homeland Security. So I have to thank you, Alice, for that as one of my early mentors. Yeah, we don't look over a certain age, but we still look good, I'll say that. So just to start off about Homeland Security. So, sometimes when you think about some organizations, you get a little, what does this organization do? How can I, as a company, assist? I mean, Homeland is one of those places that can be very complicated. It can be very, who do I talk with, et cetera. But when you kind of think about it, it's like, what does this huge mammoth of an organization do, right? So if you've ever flew a plane, if you've ever had something shipped from overseas or received goods, if you ever spent money, currency, if you've ever have any immigration issues or know someone who did, or someone who became a citizen, we hear about things at the border. We know about federal officers being trained, Capitol Police being trained, Federal Protective Service. Homeland Security is a part of all of that. That is all part of our mission. U.S. Coast Guard has several missions, including, they just don't fly around on helicopters and boats and rescue people, but they also do drug interdiction, ice breaking. So many different things that, small businesses like yourselves could be a part of at Homeland Security. And that's one of the things that we know, and that's one of the things that we, create opportunities so small businesses can participate in all of DHS's opportunities. So just a quick rundown on the OSDBU office as it exists, my office, which every federal contracting office with contracting power has to have a OSDBU office. And so how do you contact these people? How do you, I want to do work at TSA. I'm very interested in what they do. How do I work with CBP, FEMA? A lot of people are interested in FEMA, particularly not just for, their mission is when disasters, natural disasters occur. They assisted in COVID relief. So it's just so many different things. Now, the way we're structured is we have my office manages the entire small business program for the department. So as Alice spoke about, the whole $21 billion total eligible dollars that small business could possibly get a piece of, and they do. Last year, fiscal year 19, the fiscal year 20, I'm sorry, DHS awarded about $7.5 billion to small businesses, I believe. That was the number. We met all of our small business goals. So when we really talk about what we do for small businesses, we really mean it. And we take a bunch of different approaches to do that. I mean, some more involved than others. But in each one of these components, or these areas that we call them components, so TSA, ICE, Secret Service, the same missions I just spoke about a few minutes ago, each one of those have small business specialists in each one of those components. So, we have listed on our websites about, who to contact, how, our office, if you're interested in any of those particular offices, they really are the first line of defense to talk to the small business specialists, because they sit in the offices with the contracting officers, they know the program managers, et cetera. A lot of the larger acquisitions are the ones that will come to our office that we will see. Some smaller, because I've implemented some new things so that I do have visibility into some of the smaller procurements where, a lot of the meat is, where small businesses could do a lot of the work. So we have, a host of different best practice things we do, like vendor outreach. Some of you may have attended some of our vendor outreach sessions, which have gone virtual now. And so we have a lot of plans for fiscal year 22, things that we are planning to do for vendor outreach, more vendor engagement. We I think all of you have read the executive order to, more assistance and information out to underserved communities. And our office plans on making sure that we do that with a lot of events that'll be coming up in the next fiscal year. So that's it for DHS. We it's just so much. I mean, and I know you all probably have great questions, and the other panelists need to speak. But just know that DHS buys everything from soup to nuts, to helicopters, to large IT systems, to similar to a DoD in a sense, except for we don't buy, weapons as they do. We do buy handguns, but it's not. It's a different mission that we both have. So I welcome any questions later in this presentation. Anything you want to know about Homeland? Anything you want to know about me? About our process? How much we value small businesses? I appreciate any questions that you have. That's about all I have, Alice, right now.
It's truly, Alice, I want to say thank you for that great introduction. It is truly a pleasure, and for all of the panelists today, DoD is the biggest procurement utilization of small business. One of the things that I've been in the office for roughly almost 5 years, and I have seen from over 50 billion in procurement all the way up to 84 billion in procurement, small business procurement of prime contracts, as well as when you look at almost 30 billion in subcontracts as well. So the department is committed to our small business community. And definitely one of the things that I will always say is that I like to always start off these events is to really thank the small business community for their efforts that they provide to our industrial base. Because without them, we would not be where we would be today as an industrial base for the Department of Defense. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the host of this event, the Minority Business Development Agency, for hosting this event. And I definitely appreciate the invite. On the behalf of the director, Mr. Farouk Mita, he thanks everyone for their participation as well as their commitment to small business. One thing I always like to start off with is the success of the department. Over the last 5 years, as I stated before, we have increased our small business procurement from over 50 billion to almost 84 billion in small business procurement to small businesses, which is huge, which is the largest in the federal government. The other piece I would like to say is one of the things we do focus in on is training our small businesses. With all our procurement technical assistance centers, with our small business professionals out there in the field, we have done over 54,000 hours of training to our small businesses, which is a great accomplishment, and it continues to grow. The other piece I would like to say is we really focus in on training our workforce. Because again, as Darlene mentioned, is our small business professionals are our first line of defense to try to help. And from a department standpoint, education has been critical to that, and growing our workforce and ensuring they're prepared for the future as we transition to help and assist in bringing small business in our industrial base. The other piece that I'm really proud of from a department standpoint, we embarked on an effort with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has been truly one of those things that we as a small business community, whether the Department of Defense and industry, need to take be aware of it because it's critical. And one of the things that the department launched a couple years ago is a cybersecurity training program called Project Spectrum. We'll talk a little bit about that a little later if there's any questions about that. But Project Spectrum, we created an ecosystem where we are training, preparing. Let me correct that. We're preparing our small business community for the cybersecurity challenges that they face regarding the cybersecurity maturity model certification. And proud to say our total count of small businesses is almost up to 30,000 small businesses that have gone through the Project Spectrum portal. Another thing is one of the things that we're proud of, and in 2019, because we're still waiting on the 2020 results, but in 2019, we created over 654,000 jobs, which is really hats off to the department, which is hats off to the small business community and your efforts in hiring and bringing people into the industrial base. One of the things that I'm actually proud of as well is that we consistently receive an A, and that's due to the fact of the small businesses that are participating in our industrial base, and that has made a difference. One of the things that we have had challenges in from a department standpoint is really HubZone and Woman-Owned. Those are two socioeconomic categories that we have had challenges with since I've been in the organization and probably several years prior. And one of the things as we look at the Build Back Better, President Biden and really is focused in on trying to get those diversity within inside of the Department of Defense and in the federal government. So one of the key initiatives within inside of the department is this Build Back Better. And that's really trying to look at where can we get those companies that normally don't get opportunities. So we are in a really good relationship with the SBA and really trying to figure out creative ways to really get at that. Another thing that I'm actually really proud of is how our small business community has really done during this COVID. We have seen that they have achieved some great success, and one of the things that I would say is during the COVID, we prime contracts was almost over 4 billion in prime contracts during the COVID effort. So hats off to all of the folks, small businesses that participated in that, and that will continue to be one of the biggest challenges. But one of the things that I will say today and to our small business community is we learned a lot of lessons from the COVID, and we need to really look at those and how we structure our companies now for the future, because we never know if something like this will happen again. But we want to be prepared. And I think we've learned a lot from a department standpoint. And definitely, I think that, how our small business community really stood up and stood at the plate and really hit a home run for the Department of Defense. And I'm really happy about that. So again, I want to thank everyone and look forward in the questions for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice, so much for that wonderful introduction. I really, truly, greatly appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. And again, welcome to the Partnering to Scale Summit and Business Connection Forum. First, I would like to personally thank Ms. Binder, Mr. Tommy Marks, and their entire team for the invite to speak at this event. Next, I would like to thank each one of you for taking the time to attend and take advantage of this unique opportunity to both learn how to build sustainable relationships with federal government agencies and gain those relevant tips to help you compete as a federal contractor. As stated earlier, again, my name is Thaddeus Martin, and I currently serve as the Director for the Army Materiel Command Office of Small Business Programs. Um, in my role, I serve as the Principal Advisor to our 4-star Commanding General, his senior leadership team, and all AMC elements reporting directly to Headquarters AMC on all matters that's related to the small business program. And this includes monitoring of our goal achievements across the enterprise. And I'm also responsible for overseeing the strategic planning and that integration of small business program policies, procedures, and instructions. And this includes the synchronization of the programs to ensure that we have complete mission readiness. So a little about the Army Materiel Command. So AMC develops and delivers material readiness solutions to ensure globally dominant land force capability. So we're headquartered at Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. AMC is one of now 4 Army commands. This includes FORCECOM, TRADOC, and the newly 4-star command, Army's Futures Command. Under the AMC umbrella, we also have 11 major subordinate commands, and this includes 4 life cycle management commands and 6 contracting centers. AMC, we synchronize and integrate the Army's total capabilities in support of the Chief of Staff and the Army's priorities. So if you've been around the Army, you've heard our top 3 priorities, which are people, readiness, and modernization. So as the Army's lead material integrator, AMC manages the global supply chain, synchronizing logistics and sustainment activities across the Army. So how does the AMC small business program fit into this? So as a small business unit, we ensure that successful program execution and oversight readiness. So we're continuously synchronizing small business activities to ensure mission readiness. So in doing this, we continue to provide that smart industry acumen that's recognized through innovation, responsiveness, flexibility, and savings in value in support of Army material readiness. So I am happy, to report in FY20, we obligated more than $13.5 billion to small businesses, and this included over 45,000 contract actions. Even through going through COVID this past year, we're on track right now to far exceed what we obligated to small businesses last year. So right now we're standing at around 14.3 billion that has been obligated to small businesses. So that is a great achievement, especially going through this time of uncertainty. So we continue to say that, hey, small business is still big business in the federal government. Under the AMC enterprise, I have 9 small business directors that oversee those small business matters at their respective location. And on a daily basis, these small business directors are actively engaging with their requiring activities, the small businesses, as well as tracking and reporting the business success. So these are the individuals who are really making it happen at that operational and tactical level, who are assuring positive outcomes for small businesses. Within that, I have 69 dedicated small business professionals who provide small business support at that execution level as well. So we remain fully committed to helping you, small businesses, explore contracting opportunities to do business with our respective organizations. So there are 4 overarching roles that shows the importance of our small business professional in linking that the defense industrial base with our industry partners into our acquisition framework. So our small business professionals are really there to help and assist you. So this is helping you to improve that those point of entry for small businesses, to help aid you with common barriers of entry. But this also requires assistance on your part. So always be prepared to provide those specific qualifications that your company has that can meet the Army's priorities. Like I said, people, readiness, and modernization. Does your company have the skill sets that can help the Army in innovation, modernization, and as Mr. Jackson stated earlier, cybersecurity? Does your company have the certifications that are a requirement in doing business in contracting opportunities? Number two, our small business professionals are there to advocate for you. So this is helping to promote and increase acquisition opportunities. We're there to try and influence acquisition outcomes in a positive manner for small businesses. And we're there to try and help you when you are experiencing problems. So I have never met a more dedicated, professional, and passionate group of people as the Army Small Business Workforce. So in conclusion, again, I would really like to thank each one of you for your time. And remember that small business is big business in government contracting. Now I turn it back over to you, Ms. Williams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bullock, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Martin. What awesome introduction. Organizations, I heard so much from you, giving us so much leads, so many leads in your introduction. Just want to remind the audience, they mentioned quite a few things. They talked about strategic plans, being part of the strategic plan process. Mr. Martin mentioned about people readiness and modernization is very important. Mr. Jackson mentioned about cybersecurity. We love to hear more about all these things they spoke of. And Ms. Bullock mentioned really just getting involved in some of the smaller procurements. So what I want to do is start to ask questions, and I want to direct my first question to Ms. Bullock, because one of the things you said is getting involved in some of the smaller procurements. So I want to talk about some of the larger procurements as well as it relates to category management. But if you can just talk about category management and then talk about how these small companies or industry can get involved in understanding where they can find some of these smaller procurements to help them market to your organization. But the question itself is, how often does DHS use category management vehicles? Which are the most vehicles used, and where can industry find this information? And so as you address these questions, just keep in mind that we really want to know where the opportunities are.
No, I got it. Thanks, Alice. So I guess I'll answer it in a few parts. DHS has always had a very robust strategic sourcing program. And strategic sourcing is a part of category management. It's a piece of that. Category management has vendor engagement, demand management, knowing pricing across vehicles. So it's a piece of it. So our strategic sourcing program has been around about 17 years, or at least since the department was created, because we initially had to set up, there are 22 or more different agencies and organizations that came together to create Homeland Security. And, everyone knows why Homeland Security was created after 9/11. And so, the varying missions, pushed together, okay, how can we get these things done quickly? And strategic sourcing came out of that. So we've been doing strategic sourcing for quite some time for different services, supplies. Some of you may be familiar with some of the small business strategic sourcing vehicles that DHS awards and use, such as First Source 2. We're evaluating First Source 3 right now. That's solely for small and socioeconomic companies for our IT value-added reseller services, as well as software. PAX, which is one of our strategic source vehicles, which is solely reserved for service-disabled veterans, which PAX 3, you'll hear more about PAX 3 in the next coming months. Those are program management services, technical. We are discussing maybe, adding some different or changing some of the NAICS codes for PAX 3. So that's one of our flagship, along with First Source 2, one of our flagship contracts. So just want everyone to be aware of that. And those two contracts alone has helped DHS. We've exceeded all of our small business goals, socioeconomic goals, for the last 9 or 10 years because of those contracts. So we are the largest agency to receive an A for 11 years in a row on the SBA scorecard, soon to be another one. We have 5 A+ in a row, or soon to be another one. So, so we have to, say what we do. Now, they only say that in spite of the, or around category management. Okay, so DHS does use category management vehicles. We use them quite extensively. That's not all we do, though. So that's really what I want to get across. Now, we do use VETS 2. We use 8A stars. We have not looked at 8A stars 3 yet to see. There's a lot of awards under there, under this first group. So, I mean, they haven't given, notice to proceed or anything yet. So we're definitely looking at that, and definitely will probably use it because it's 8A, and, along with that is small disadvantaged businesses. We use Oasis. We use Alliant. We're hoping, the small business part of Alliant comes pretty quickly, or, we get the move on, because I'll tell you, DHS used to have a vehicle called Eagle, and we kind of got out of the business of the large IT service contracts because some, category management kind of did it a little better. Now, do we recognize at some points, when there is an Alliant 2 small that doesn't exist, is that really helpful for us? Probably not. We have CIOSP 3 is another that we use, small and unrestricted. So we kind of find ourselves dependent upon where we are in the cycle that we don't have as many choices as we have, So one of my jobs or duties is to make contracting groups aware of that. We do use these vehicles, and we do, indicate that they're mandatory for us to use, but that we have waivers to get around those things. So when I see, not as much competition, or wait a minute, this could be, market research is just, this is not enough. We need to make sure that small businesses have an opportunity. They may not have that opportunity on a vehicle like CLSP 3. So it kind of limits, some of those companies can't re-represent because they're large. It just becomes a whole thing going on. Mm-hmm. So I don't want everybody to be scared about, category management. I mean, I feel it's a tool in the toolbox. Mm-hmm. It's not the only tool. So one of the things that I've done for, I started this fiscal year in January, was I now review along with the PCR. So the PCR, the Procurement Center representative, is the SBA representative, and we work very well together, hand in hand. And so, and his name is Bernard Durham. Everyone should know who the PCR is for whatever organization they're dealing with. I'm sure DoD has many PCRs, mm-hmm. but we have one. His name is Bernard Durham. And what we do is we collectively review the small items that Alice mentioned, over $2.5 million that, won't, the contracting officer thinks that it should be an unrestricted procurement. So a lot of times we've had a lot of wins where I've gone back and say, no, I don't agree with that. Your market research is not up to par. There are other vehicles we can use. We also have, activities are recognizing, maybe I'm not getting enough competition under this category management vehicle. So I'm going to issue this under beta.sam or sam.gov and figure out, and maybe whittle it down from there. Let's see who's really out there. Mm-hmm. And then let's go from there. So we're approaching it from different ways. And I'll tell you too, for any category management vehicle that we use, we make sure it has some socioeconomic pieces to it, companies. So, when category management first came out, and the originators of it, the thought is that it's small business. That's not it. You have to look at small business, women-owned business, hubs-owned business. It has to have a socioeconomic pieces to it. And so those are the ones that we choose to use. Both, some of them have both sides to it. So we do a lot of set-asides under those vehicles. Shannon and Thaddeus talked about vendor base. We understand that there, larger amount of contract value going to not as many companies. And so that is an area that, it does distress us a bit, and it does, have impact on vendor-based supply chain management. You want to have as many, we saw this through COVID, right? We want to have as many companies be able to supply what we need when we need it and how. And so those are the things that we look at particularly. So I don't want everyone to be scared about category management. You do have people in place at Homeland Security who recognize that that's not the only way that we should be doing business. And so, whenever you have a question about anything, unfortunate is that, sometimes those requirements that do go on those vehicles, you don't see. That's just the way it, But we also have acquisition planning forecast system, our APFS system, which we now have in the cloud. And so it's a very good system, and it's, you can search by NAICS codes, and that document would have the planning of these procurements that you may not see, for purposes of, subcontracting, or it may not even go on that vehicle. That's just the planning. You may come to me and say, look, we're an 8A company, we can do this. Is any consideration of, then we'll have that conversation, and maybe that conversation with the contracting officer. So just know that we do use it. We don't feel it's the only tool to use. We have a lot of different things that we do. But all in all, we do it. Anything we do is to support the missions first, and small businesses also to help support that mission. So don't get nervous about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Bullock. I thank you for your transparency. That information is very helpful, and I understand the audience is going to be very happy that you were able to explain your process and some of the great things that you're doing to make sure the small businesses get an opportunity. So we appreciate that. It's very enlightening this morning. I'm going to direct my next question to Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, is actually a two-part question. I'm going to ask, what are the steps small businesses need to take to do business with Department of Defense? We know it's very challenging getting in the Department of Defense. It's a very huge organization. Lots of people you can see. The doors are tough to knock down. So we really want to know, what are the best ways? What do we need to know? What are the best ways to do business with DoD? How do a small business get its start? And then the second question is, what is the department's plan to help rebuild the defense industrial base after the pandemic? So I think you touched on that a little bit, but if you can elaborate just a little bit more. But most importantly, everybody wants to do business with Department of Defense. We know it's not easy. We're the big elephant in the room type of things that we buy are very huge. Small business don't get opportunity to play. So if you can just explain to us, how do we get to those opportunities as a small business? And for a very, very small business that's just getting started, how do they do business with DoD?
Alice, great questions. I tell you, first I want to let Darlene know that the department has made its goals for the last 5 years and going on.
Look, Shannon, 5 and 2, 12.
Okay, no problem. We got started late. And I do want to say, one of the things that I think that it's important that even what Darlene stated was that the commitment from the federal government in a whole, because without all of the federal government playing to try to bring small businesses in that industrial base to grow it, we would never make our federal government goal, which when Darlene makes it, when the department makes it, and all the other federal agencies make it, the federal government makes it. And that means that's the commitment. So even though we're the biggest guy in the room with over 84 billion, everybody else plays a significant part into that. So I want to thank the small business community. So the Department of Defense is so big. I have been around for a long time, and I've heard a lot of companies come and want to do business with the Department of the Defense. And 9 times out of 10, I say, well, who? You have to determine, first of all, one, you have to do some homework. You have to do your homework, one, with your company to determine what do you provide. That's the first thing. The second thing is determine who do you want to work with. Remember, we have 3 departments and 23 agencies that you can do work with, and all do various different things, from weapon systems to IT, professional services. It's across the board. Where do you fit at? And then from there, when you determine, one, what do you do? What can you provide? Where do you want to go? As Thaddeus talked about, each of the departments, there's over 700 small business professionals across the federal government, across the Department of Defense that have access to the requirements. So one of the things that, as I stated before, knowing what you do, knowing who you want to work with, and then from there, again, as I said, 700 small business professionals. But then the other trick to it is this: events like this is where you really get that honing in where you want to go, and what the department provides. As Darlene talked about it, category management. Let's just start with that, just a piece of it, because will tie into what we talked about. There's 10 government-wide categories, and that ranges from IT all the way to medical services, professional services, across the board. Now, the Department of Defense has additional 10, which are DoD centric, which are our weapon systems, which is our spare parts, aviation, all of that across our really all of our major defense acquisition programs. You have 10 other categories. So the difference between the federal government is we have a federal government 10, and then the Department of Defense has another set of 10 that is only specific to our organizations. So when you determine all that, and one of the things that I want everybody to know, and one of the things that Congress did recently was bring the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers under the Office of Small Business Programs. That is a huge piece, because that is the first line of defense. I did talk about the small business professionals, but the first line of defense for your company to start to do business with the federal government or the Department of Defense is that Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Because what we are trying to do, and what we've been trying to do from a department standpoint, again, Congress puts a little bit of pressure on the department a lot of times, is to ensure that our Procurement Technical Assistance Centers are aligned with our small business professionals. They should be working together, hand in hand. And one of the things we did put in our small business strategy was that we wanted that partnership to really increase. So now when small businesses that want to do work with the department, you have your first line would be the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Then the second would be the small business professional. And then third would be really getting in that opportunity where now that small business professional is putting you in front of the user community or the acquisition community, where now you're presenting where you have that capability to do it. One of the things that I will always say is that the challenge with the Department of Defense is so big. And this is just as I said at the beginning, is you have to know what you do, who you want to work with, and then if what you do applies to them, that's where you go. Because everybody want to do work with the department, but you can't do it with everybody. You got to figure out where you want to be at, who you want to be with, and then work from there. So that's the biggest thing. And then I will add just one thing to that piece is what I've always told small businesses: have 5 slides, 5 good detailed slides. First slide should be talking about what do you do as a company. I won't talk about anything else. I've been in business for this. Here's what we do. Here are the next codes we provide. The second thing is, as you start off in your business, determine here's what we do the best. And that's what you present to your small business professional. And then he or she should understand, okay, here's how we can apply this company to a potential requirement, or give them the lead where they can go to actually bid on the requirement. The third thing is the third slide is really telling them who you're doing it for now and the success of that and that return on investment. And then the fourth slide is your homework slide. here are the opportunities that I have identified via beta.sam that I align with, that my core capabilities that I talked to you about in slide 1 and slide 5, here are the ones that I align with. So 5 slides is really your elevator pitch. I wouldn't go more than 5 slides, but you're really telling them, you're selling that as your product. That's your line of what you do. To the second question is, what are we doing about how the impact to the industrial base? We from the department realized that the COVID has really done some significant, had a major impact on our industrial base. But as I stated before at the beginning, we learned a lot. So what I've said was, what the department is doing is, just as I said, the Build Back Better. We're really looking at all of our industrial base areas that were impacted by the COVID, which really came out to be manufacturing, which is critical, which aligns to what Thaddeus will probably talk about at AMC. Our research and development areas, small business stepped up in a huge way in some of the research for some of the things that we've gotten for the COVID, as well as the manufacturing has been impacted. So some of the things we're doing, there's a lot of resources that we have put on business.defense.gov small business site of all of the resources that we still have in place to help small businesses. One of the things, even with some of the policies that were put in place, we are still honoring those policies as we speak now. So again, we're still trying to help. I think there's going to be a very heavy push to really look at how we build back our industrial base through programs, i.e. like the DoD Mentor Protege program, almost like the SBIR program, just on innovation side. We have a lot of initiatives that we're trying to look at and really bring to bear, working directly with SBA and maybe in some of the policies that we're trying to look at to really help grow that industrial base. So again, I think there's a lot of efforts across the federal government that we're working to really look at how we rebuild it. But I think this administration today is really focused on really trying to do that. So thank you, Alice.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Really appreciate that. If you didn't hear that, business.defense.gov is where we can find some of the resources to help small business. So we really appreciate all your insight on the directions of the Department of Defense, how to get in, how the best, especially the slide piece. I've seen people submit 50 slides and you only need 5. So we really like that. Appreciate that. So the next question I'm going to direct to Mr. Martin. And because you're one of the largest contracting command within Department of Defense, representing Army Materiel Command, like DoD wide, everybody wants to do business with AMC, and we understand what the mission is. But it's very difficult, very challenging to get an AMC as well. So if you can give the audience some tips on how to do business with AMC and where they can find opportunities at AMC, given your best tips on what's the best way to connect with AMC.
Oh, thank you, Alice. So I want to do a 2-part answer to this one. So first, a big thing that a question that I get from small business all the time is, where can I find support and training to help small businesses to federal contracting? So I'll piggyback off of what Mr. Jackson said. Your first line of the PTAC. So, that's a specialty program that provides that professional assistance to small businesses that's interested in doing business with the government. This includes the state, federal, local. So they help you with your registration, your research, networking, bid opportunities, developing your capability statements, marketing to the government, and actually understanding those federal regulations. There's another one. It's very good. I really like the SBA commercial market representative. So this system right here, it actually provides you with the help that you need, from advice on trying to win your actual first government contract, to actually getting in contact. They have volunteer business counselors around the country who actually help educate small business owners. So you may have heard of SCORE. It's actually a large network of free volunteer small business mentors, and they actually help provide that one-on-one counseling as well as educational workshops. And then, as Mr. Jackson stated too, the small business professional is that second line of business opportunities. So like I stated earlier, I have 69 small business professionals that go across the AMC enterprise. But do you, like Mr. Jackson said, you got to do your homework. Many times we've had small businesses come and just say, hey, what do you have for me? That's not the most professional way to come to speak with small business professional. So, those 5 slides, those are very great to have. One of the initiatives, Ms. Williams, that AMC that we've started during this COVID and coming out of that transition, we've actually started accepting video capability statements.
Oh, wow.
So normally, we have that one-on-one session. You provide the capability statement, what's your next code, what's the background of your company, if you've ever had federal contracts before. But this time we say, hey, we need to bump it up a notch. So we're the first command to start accepting video capability statements. So to date, we have around 10 in-house. So these are just like your elevator speeches. So when we get those requiring offices that say, hey, I have a requirement coming down for this, do you have any, small businesses that can do this? Yes, I do. Instead of me sending you the capabilities paper statement, I'm gonna send you their video capabilities statement, so you can actually see firsthand what that small business does. So if we recommend that the videos are no longer 2.5 to 3 minutes long. Like I said, if you're getting the elevator speech between floor 1 up to floor 2, 3, and 4, you don't have that long. So the video capability statement needs to be the same. All of our contracting opportunities, as stated before, can be found on sam.gov. So these contracting opportunities, they include that pre-solicitation notices, solicitation, source of salt, etc. So we're constantly updating that information. So please visit that as well. And then on our website, as well as with Headquarters DA, we have already posted all of our forecasted opportunities. If you go on the website now, you will actually see what small business opportunities we have from now through the end of the FY. So I encourage you to do that as well. That's all I have, Ms. Williams.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That is very interesting. That's the first time I heard of the video introductions. That's going to be helpful. I might be the first one to do that. But anyway, let me see. We have about 4 more minutes, and we do want to take at least one question from the audience. So I'm going to defer to Andrew and Claudia if we have any questions from the audience.
Yes, I have a question for Ms. Bullock. Someone asked, how do we engage FEMA for small business opportunities? We have extensive experience supporting Hurricanes Irma and Maria. It's been difficult to make any meaningful contacts and understanding upcoming opportunities.
Darlene. Your mic is muted.
Oh, okay. I did it myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Normally, there's a lot of interest in FEMA. So we have a FEMA small business specialist. His name is Robert Danny. He goes by Danny Keegan. He's very responsive. So I'm not sure if you're contacting the right individual. We have another gentleman named Sammy Brunson. But if you can send me an email about what it is, your particular questions, I'll definitely get you in touch with someone at FEMA and with Danny. He's the small business specialist. So yeah, we normally don't have those issues, but I'd like to assist with that. So My email address is darlene.bullock, just like on the screen, at hq.dhs.gov. So yeah, anything, if that's for anyone, if you have any questions about any of the components and you're having trouble contacting any of them, just let me know and I can help facilitate that.
Thank you so much. Claudia, can we take just one more question? We have a question from the audience.
We have like a general question. Are the small business offices on this panel able to help connect subcontractors with private?
Yeah, I think we all, I don't know if Shannon wants to talk about, or Thaddeus, we have, DHS has a small business mentor protege program. You can look on our website about that. I'll also tell you quickly that one of my fiscal year 22 initiatives is more small business goaling at the task order level. I think that's an area that's like a black hole that we are just not doing as much as we can across the government. So I've already started, and you'll see more of task orders, where these huge task orders where, we have to have some small business goals here. Tell me what you're going to have small businesses do. So we're writing a check, $800 million task order, but no meat behind how small businesses can support this effort. So you'll hear more about that. I don't know if Shannon or Thaddeus have a comment.
I'll let Thaddeus take that.
Okay, so run the question back by me one more time, Ms. Williams.
Claudia, the question actually involved in how can businesses get subcontracting or develop relationships at the subcontracting opportunities.
All right, so I would recommend making sure that you go attend all of the outreach events that are scheduled within the area. So this includes any industry day events. This includes any advanced planning briefings to industry, because these are the opportunities where large businesses are there. So you'll be able to network with these companies for those subcontracting opportunities. And then, our small business professionals, we're there too as well, to connect that link between the small business and large companies. So utilize us too as well for that.
Thank you so much.
Let me
you have a comment?
Okay, you got it, Alex. I'm sorry.
We're actually ran out of time. This has been so great. It's just, we always run out of time when we're having fun. Information has been so helpful. I really appreciate you all, Darlene, Shannon, and Thaddeus. I hope you don't mind me calling you by your first name, because I know all of you all personally. But it's been so awesome just to be, right across the table, just talking to you about the great things that you all are doing in your organization. So we really appreciate you taking out the time of your busy schedule to attend this panelist. So does MBDA and the leadership here. We all appreciate you. To the next panel, it would be panel number 2. It will be moderated by Mr. Tarmy Marks. So I'm going to ask the audience to just a reminder to click on the link for panel number 2. That will get your entry into the panel, where you get to hear Mr. Marks and some other federal agencies talk about the great things that they're doing. I'm going to attend myself. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Darlene.
Good to see you, Shannon.
That is great job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.